Alex, it's good to see you again. What brings you into the office today?
Well, I've been having some difficulty, um, I guess lack of clarity around a career decision I'm trying to make. I just wanted some reflection and feedback, I guess, and maybe help navigating what's ahead of me related to.
Alex, why don't you tell me a little bit more about the important values in your life today?
Yeah, what comes to mind immediately is, well, creativity, intimacy, uh, contemplation, prunes, family, adventure, integrity, um, um, local, commitment to my local community. Yeah, those are good ones.
Okay. So we just talked about some of the values that are important to you in your life today. And
Yeah.
typically people look for a work environment which resonates with those values, those personal values. So I'd like to kind of explore what kind of work environment might fit those values as well as your personality. Okay, so it sounds to me like you're looking for a work environment where you can have a good amount of autonomy, but also opportunities to collaborate with others. All right, so we know that your relationship and your desire for adventure or a change in geographic location are both currently influencing this decision that you're facing.
Wait, what?
Do you typically make your decisions based on what's in your head or what's in your heart?
I think the heart, because I've made a lot of stupid decisions.
And so
That felt right.
what's speaking to you louder right now, your head or your heart? It seems like you're having kind of a struggle between the two.
That's the conflict, really.
Yeah.
The head is like saying, this is a really great situation you got going on. I mean, it really, really is. I mean, for a graduate social work student to get this kind of offer is just premier. It's great.
Okay, and what's your heart
It feels
saying?
really good to me. My heart says, do you want to be in Chapel Hill and wither away like a prune?
So we've talked a lot about values today. What I'd like to do is kind of explore which values you would be serving with these different options that you're facing. So we've got the job offer in New Mexico and we've got the job offer in Chapel Hill. Can you tell me a little bit more about the values that you would be serving if you were to go to New Mexico, and then the values that you would be serving if you were to accept the job in Chapel Hill? All right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the one that comes to mind specifically for your case is the Holland's theory of vocational personalities in work environment. I think that could be helpful just to give you a little more direction or clarity as far as which of these work environments might fit you a little better and suit your values and your. Okay, so I ended up doing 2 different sessions with 2 different people for this, and I went with the session with Alex because it ultimately was a really interesting conversation about values, which I think is really important in terms of career decisions. We spent a good chunk of the session, as you heard, identifying his current values, what's most important to him in his life right now. He was able to reflect on how that's changed over the years and realizing that some of the values that were more important to him 2 years ago have shifted. And so it was helpful for him to clarify the different values that have become more important to him currently. We talked about Holland's theory in terms of finding a work environment which aligns with his values and also fits his personality. he talks some about how that might be one of the most important factors for him in making this decision, because he was able to tell me about some of his least favorite work environments and why he didn't enjoy them, and really being interested in finding the kind of environment that feels most congruent for him at this point in his life. So I suggested the Career Key Discovery Assessment, and he had never heard of it before and was pretty excited to try that out. And we also talked about doing research to gather information about salary, policies, and professional development opportunities in New Mexico. He has a lot of information about the job prospect in Chapel Hill because he lives there. He's able to ask more questions. He's lived there for a good chunk of his life, so he's more familiar. And in order to make a more informed decision, we decided it would be helpful to do research about the New Mexico prospect, so he felt like he was able, to make an informed decision. And I asked him after the session what he thought was most helpful, and he said that identifying which values were served by each of his different options was really helpful, and he ended up feeling not ready to make a decision, but more hopeful about his ability to reach the right decision soon. I think that mostly came from identifying and getting clarity around his values and which of those values he wants to prioritize right now. So it was more, he's a pretty self-aware person, so it wasn't like there was a lot of new information, but it seemed helpful for him to just talk it out and have those things reflected back to him. He said that it was helpful to think about it in terms of the head versus the heart, because he's used to making heart-based decisions, but that isn't necessarily where he is in his life right now. And so just recognizing the changes and transformation that he's gone through and sort of honoring that was really important to him and helpful for this process. And that's it. Ciao.